So now we're going to crank this engine up for the first time, mainly because after you install the timing belt, it's a good idea to, if the engine runs and without any kind of anything weird, as far as surging and all that goes, it's a good chance you got it on right and the timing's pretty close. So we're just going to fire it up. We're not going to run it real long because we don't have the water pump, there's no coolant in it or anything. So we're just going to fire it up briefly. Starts. Okay, good. So when installing the timing cover, it's got two pieces. You got a lower where the crank goes and then the upper. So the key to this, one side goes on before the other, or you're going to end up fighting with it. So the way to tell is you see how they match together, and you can see that if you look at the way it's stacked, you've got a relief here for this part here, and they kind of match together, and there this kind of comes out. And then you can kind of see the way the bosses stack together. It's not going to go this way anyway. This one's actually pretty easy to figure out. Some of them you got to play with. So we're going to put on the bottom first. Okay. So like I was saying before, when you do these valve covers, you want to get a nice glob of sealing in the corners there, because the valve cover gasket corner won't necessarily fit completely tight in the corner, so you need something to help it out. So that's what this sealant does. Let's put that in the corner. Let's pull out of it. Good. In this case, you want to put your hose from this PCV valve on first. It's going to just be real careful. It's on. Acorn nuts. Usually these tighten until they stop. Shoulder on the stud of the bolt. And tap it down to that shoulder. So we started the Tercel, and it looks like we got a surging high idle speed problem with the engine. Now the way the idle speed is controlled on a fuel-injected engine is it has a thing called an idle air control valve. Now the idle air control valve doesn't do its thing right, it won't bring the idle speed down like it's supposed to. Now this engine, the way you can check it, well, the idle speed air does is it's routing air around the throttle when it's closed. On a fuel injected car, you can't just adjust the idle speed with the screw because it has a throttle position sensor that'll get the holding out of calibration. So you got an idle air control problem. Now, the way you can check it is there's a port in the throttle body ahead of the throttle, which we're going to show you right now. So here is our idle air control intake port. So there's a lot of air going through this port right now through this valve. The valve is in here. So we can check that just by closing this port off a little bit. And the valve is supposed to actually be limiting the amount of air with the idle speed we're supposed to be getting, but it isn't doing it for some reason. It's stuck, or maybe it's got some crap in it, I don't know. And this is an electronically controlled valve. So it's, I think it's got a thermistor type of heat thing there. As it heats up, it gets the idle speed down. So we got to work on it. We got to figure out what's wrong with this idle speed control valve, idle air control valve. Okay, so to get at the idle air control valve on this, you remove the throttle body. It's here, and it's got some coolant lines attached down here on the bottom. So we've got to take off this throttle body. It's 4 bolts. Take off the linkage and the TPS connector, and then we're going to remove this. So the idle air control, this valve is on a seat. This is actually the pintle part of the valve, and it's coming out this way. And if you can see that there's the passage where it routes the air from the intake side, that port that we saw earlier, which is now covered by here, and then it comes out when it goes into the engine out this port here. Okay, right here, and then it's going to, this port here, then it allows the air to route around the throttle into the engine, is governed by how far this valve is open. Here you can kind of see light through there. So right now it's wide open, which means that the engine, unless the engine is really cold or has a problem, it really shouldn't be that way, and it's going to make the idle speed go really high. So what we have to do is we're going to take apart this valve. We got to take the screws out and see what happened. Hopefully we can free it up or do something. But you can see this valve is really open right now. We need to get it to close. So since I'm a mobile mechanic and we're out in the field doing this, you got to come up with ways to take stuff apart. So the screws that hold on the idle air control are on real tight, and it's real easy to round up these screws. So you got to make sure that's clamped solidly. So we got it mounted in this vise here, and then you just push down on this as much as you can, and then you can get the screws loose. Loose. Take it apart. So since we may not be able to find this gasket in here and it's stuck, we want to be real careful you don't damage it. So you got to just kind of pry up here really slowly.